my name is Jamie Smith. I am a nurse practitioner here in Southwestern Virginia. I am the Chief Education and Compliance Officer with Premier Geriatric Solutions. And I'm excited because we have Athol here that we are interviewing here on Nurse Deck today. Hi there.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for chatting. This is awesome.
Hi. So can you tell us introduce yourself first off.
Thanks. I guess we're talking because we're both very passionate nurses. And so, yeah, I've been a nurse for the last 12 years, in and out, changing different sections and environments and workplaces and whatnot. But my passion and background has been emergency and crit care, and that's where I've based most of my career, I suppose. At the moment, I'm a nurse educator on a medical ward, though, and yeah, which is great stuff. So I'm based in Australia and up in the northern part of Australia, and in a tertiary-sized hospital that has 300 beds, and we see a mixture of all sorts of different things.
That's awesome. So you're a nurse educator in Northern Australia at a hospital with roughly 300 beds. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Cool. So why did you decide to become a nurse in the first place?
Interestingly, I still don't particularly always know the answer to that question. I got into nursing because, to be honest, my grandmother said to me, "Well, you like all these different elements," and that's why I started into nursing. I wanted to travel. I liked learning about biology and human anatomy. I did like helping people, and I liked supporting people through difficult times. And I think my grandmother was very wise, and she said, "Well, what about nursing?" Because I was having all these questions in my head, and I thought, I never thought of myself as a male nurse, but yeah, I jumped in, and it's been a great career.
Nursing is a great career, and I can relate with you. Enjoying the science, enjoying helping others. It's definitely a passion for sure. So, what's it like becoming an emergency and intensive care nurse?
I guess it's a little bit of a journey. Early on, I've always enjoyed critical care and thinking outside the box, and how can we do our best work for the sickest people, and so it's been a passion of mine early on in my career since I was a student. And I actively worked when I was just out of uni to progress towards intensive care, and I moved into intensive care after my graduate program, and it was quite challenging, to be honest, but there was certain aspects that I really liked and certain aspects that I didn't like, but I do really enjoy feeling empowered and feeling like I've got some say, or I've got some input into the game. And you probably get that from being a nurse practitioner, having that ability, that autonomy, that empowerment to make a real difference with your skills. So I guess that's probably where I pushed into going to those areas.
Yeah, it's funny. We have similar backgrounds. I worked ER, and I worked ICU, neurotrauma, a little bit of medical ICU, and it's definitely a lot of critical thinking. It's high stress, fast paced. So I can relate to you there. Do you think, yes, for sure. Do you think that a high level of burnout in nurses is more likely to be experienced in those areas, critical care units and emergency room?
To be honest, yes. I think that probably is a little bit more stress involved in those high impact areas, as lives are on the line, and there's a lot of pressure to perform. And yeah, I think if you've doing it quite regularly and there's pressure all the time, which can happen in emergency and especially intensive care, like in the current pandemic, burnout has increased. And so I think so. I was going to say no, but I don't think so. I think it's really, because burnout is that consistent pressure, that overwhelming inability to perform like you really want to.
Right.
So yes, I think it can occur more often in those areas.
I agree. How do you
Mm.
go about identifying your own burnout and how to prevent it?
Yeah, it's a journey.
Mhm.
So in 2014, 15, I went through a fairly nasty experience of burnout, and that was on the back end of my intensive care career. I just I felt really lost, and it took me about 3 years to really work out what was causing it, and I didn't even know what burnout was, but it certainly was that. So it took me a long time, but after a lot of soul searching and a lot of deep diving in, I did finally get there and understand. Oh my God, these thoughts, these emotions, these I guess moments in my career that I don't want to do this. These all had a reason, and they had factors that were leading up to that. So absolutely. And I just felt overwhelmed because I wasn't meeting my own core drivers. I didn't understand a lot of the time the impact that the decisions I was having in intensive care, if they were making a difference. And so one of my big drivers is making impact and feeling like the actions that I deliver have worth. And sometimes in intensive care, you don't always get that um, throughput. You in the global sense of it, you do. But I just didn't have perspective on that, so that was a little difficult. But so now I understand what gets me out of bed and what drives me. So, I can try to prevent burnout as best as possible.
Yeah. Your comment on how it took you 3 years to figure out, you knew something was off, but it took you 3 years to figure out it was burnout. That goes to show how much of a stigma there is around burnout and with nursing. And it's definitely real. It's definitely there with a lot of people. And so I think it's interesting you mentioned the 3 year part because we don't want to admit to our brains that we're super stressed out. We're burnout. So
Yeah, it's we like to stand strong, don't we? We like to be
that's
powerful.
right.
We like to be, the saviors. We're not superheroes, but we like to, we can do this. We're strong. We're capable. We don't want to seem as weak. Our
Right.
patients depend on us. They're going through some of the toughest times of their lives, and they want to lean on us, and we get great power out of that. But on the negative side of that, when we're struggling, there's this counterplay, isn't there? So yeah, totally.
Definitely. So, can you tell us more about frauds and how does it work?
Yeah, so Ford's has come off the background of parts of this experience of burnout. I started to look at some of the factors that led up to my element of burnout, but also some of the struggles that I faced within my career. And I was wanting to do something outside the box, and I was thinking creatively, and I really just wanted to push the envelope and support others that are maybe of going through similar episodes. And so Ford's helps people around the shift work, because I found shift work was really stressful experience. Like it messes with your family life, it messes with your sometimes you don't see a colleague for 2 weeks that it was one of your good friends. It's so what Ford's does is it's a roster based calendar. We enter your calendar for the week, and then there's the features in there focus around debriefing. So we help you to debrief after shift through a mindfulness tool to try and offload some of those thoughts. Which is I would have loved when I was going through burnout, something to just trying to make sense and offload and do a little bit of easy journaling. We also then have a chat feature where you can chat with your colleagues, and you can see information that's specific around work or performance in healthcare. And so these are some of the elements within Ford, and we're really trying to help reduce some of those stresses that we face every day. You're not going to fix everything, but if you can reduce at least 10% of some of those, those stresses that are really getting to you, then you've got a chance of not going, stuff this, I'm out, I'm leaving, sort of thing. So yeah.
So, just to putting it together, did I understand you said it's a calendar and it helps with debriefing after work. It has a
Yeah.
chat temperature, and it ultimately helps to reduce stress. So is it like an app you download?
Yes, it is an app. Yes, sorry about that. Yes, it's an app you download. Off the App Store or the Google Play Store. It's localized to Australia just at the moment, because we're still fine tuning it. But we're looking at opening up in the near future. So yeah, watch this space.
That's great. Thank you for clarifying that. So we can actually download it on Google Play. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Cool. So how does it protect nurses from burnout, and how is it beneficial to our nurses amongst the pandemic?
Yeah, so I think the debriefing tool, the mindfulness tool, is probably there's many different elements within the app, but I think that's probably one of the big points that we could really lean on. Really helping individuals and yourself to reflect after each day, to try and get some perspective on what's happened during the day. What was challenging, what went well, who supported you well, showing some gratitude, but also having a think about some of the struggles that you faced and try and getting some perspective on it. Some traumas or difficult days, you're not going to be able to do much, but if you can try to understand it in your own mind and then reflect on it. So what the app does is, once you've debriefed in one section, it'll then show that on the calendar. So then over the month, you can start to observe and reflect on how your month has been, and so you can start to make some, you can have perspective and understanding on that, but you can make changes as you need to. Oh, I've had a really bad week. That's when we can start to lean into some well-being tips and tricks and tools, because this week has been a little bit difficult. Maybe I need to sit outside for a bit longer. So these are some of the elements. So I think that has some great benefit to people on the front line, just to try to manage some of the stress that we take home with us. Try to eliminate it. Try to reduce as much as possible.
That's right. We have a lot of stress at work. We don't want to take it home to our families, because I don't know about you, but I know my husband can pick up on it. So any tool, anything that people can download and get to help, I think is worth looking at for sure. So thank you for sharing that with me. What drives you in ensuring that Forwards is truly valuable to the lives of nurses and the wider healthcare community?
Yeah, so I think, because burnout's been an issue, and nursing turnover has been an issue for years, and the research is pushing back 20, 30 years. So big passion for me is, I don't want to see people leave like I did. So I left in 2014 to become a dairy farmer, because I just I thought nursing was dead for me, and I don't want to see my colleagues go through that, because that wasn't my true path, that wasn't my true story. I've come back to nursing, but it took me a while. So my big passion point is any tools, any education, anything we can do to help support individuals and teams to stay together, so they can continue doing what they want to do, and that's delivering great care and providing impact, and supporting patients, but also staying with their team and thriving as nurses. So that's really what drives me with the app and the education content that I deliver as well.
So you mentioned the educational content. So does it go over evidence-based practice? What specific educational elements does it have?
Yeah, so the app is got some wellbeing content that is coming through it. I've also developed a course on burnout. It's called Burnout No More, and so that's really focused on burnout. It's it unpacks what burnout is and how it can impact you, but what you can do about it, and create an action plan on the other side. And we deep dive into what your drivers are, what's really important to you, so you can start to understand why you're an intensive care nurse, why you're an emergency nurse, why you're a medical nurse, and what does all these things mean to you and your family. I'm not stepping into the evidence base. I'm not stepping into the clinical area. I'm focusing around the periphery, around that leadership, around that, that other performance elements. I think we do healthcare really well, and there's plenty of resources out there. We just need to be in the right headspace and mindset to get the job done.
I think that's awesome. So you actually help to create an action plan.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. So you don't just talk about it, you actually come up with a plan to make it better.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
It's it's good fun. I enjoy delivering the course, the Burnout No More course, because I know it works, because that's how I got through. And I didn't realize I was creating my own course, but I just packaged up what I did to get through, and I'm proud of it, because I know it works.
I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool.
Can you tell us more about Athol Tech?
Yes. So, entrepreneurship and nursepreneurship isn't always a linear path. And so Athol Tech was the first part of the business. And so what Athol Tech was about was really just kickstarting the journey. I didn't have a name for a business or anything. So essentially that's what it become. And that's I guess that's the brain's trust. Athol Tech's the brain trust to all my different weird creations. And it's just sitting there over you. It's not the operating part of the business. Ford's is the operating part, but Athol Tech sits there in the background. I guess it's just my head in business terms.
Got it. Okay. Alrighty. So do you think that there are enough resources to support nurses out there? And how does a community platform like NurseDeck help?
Yeah, I think, information's a fallacy, isn't it? Like, words on paper, we're exposed to information all the time. Facebook, Medium, LinkedIn, blog posts, there's words and advice everywhere. But being really specific and specific on sections or nurses, what you guys are doing is super important. Being really targeted on the information that nurses need, like NurseDeck, is I think there's a great place for that. And I guess that's where I share an interest, like you guys, is being really specific and trying to be focused on what you're trying to achieve and deliver the right resources to nurses, rather than just noise, because noise makes the problem worse. When you're trying to get up and go to work, and it just fills your head, no matter what the noise is. It's just all of a sudden, your head's full, and then you can't do your job. So yeah.
So how will you encourage our nurses and listeners today to utilize the Fords app? I would say first step is to download it. Anything else?
Yeah, so I'd love to connect on LinkedIn. That'd be fantastic. Definitely reach out to me. We're on Facebook at Fords.app and Instagram. So just to clarify, with the US market, we haven't opened it up completely just yet. It's still kind of in beta form, but in the new year, next year, we'll be opening the Fords app, and you'll be able to download it. But I'd love to get in contact with anyone who's listening to this or watching this, and to have a chat. Really keen to connect with other nurses and hear their experiences and opinions and thoughts and how I can help. People can also go to www.burnoutnomore.me, and that's the course hosting website, and so they can have a look at the Burnout No More course. Where the next cohort will be opening up in February, March next year, and so I'd love people to be involved in that as well. If you're feeling a little stressed, I certainly like to help you through anything that you're going through, so we can get you on the other side and thriving and performing and doing what you love, and doing your best stuff.
So people can actually reach out to you on LinkedIn, and they can go to www.burnoutnomore.me.
.me, yes.
Awesome. Okay, is there a topic or issue we haven't talked about that you would like to discuss?
No, I particularly like this international collaboration. The power of LinkedIn, the power of we're different countries. I think this is fantastic. It's I particularly like how we can go global with our communication and conversations now, and I'd love to see more of it. So I think there's heaps of heaps of things we could discuss, but maybe for another day.
Well, we love what you're doing here at Nurse Stack. Thank you for your time. Thank you for telling us about your Forwards app. And it's a great tool. It offers education, it sounds like, and you have a Burnout No More course that I can't wait to be involved with and learn more about, because it ultimately is going to support our nurses and help to reduce stress. So thank you for that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been great chatting to you, Jamie.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to our listeners today.